Good morning and welcome to Ask the Expert. This is a daily series from 8 in the morning till 9 to help small business and boost their knowledge. My name is Jeremy Stern and I'm pleased to host the 70th live show this morning. Now, during the show, if you've got any questions, do please write them in the comments or use the hashtag QBATE, QBATE, on Twitter, and I'll get to them as soon as I can. If you, however, you need more general advice on financial and accounting, join the official Intuit QuickBooks SMB community on Facebook. Accountants and business experts are on hand 24/7 to help you. QuickBooks also have a dedicated information site to help you as you come out of lockdown. Just go to the QuickBooks website, scroll down a little bit, and click on the big Learn More button under the header Support for You and Your Business During COVID-19. So, today's session is about promotions, prize promotions. You're all subject to prize promotions. Whenever you go out to the supermarket from now on, have a look down the aisles and see how many times you can see the word win or free. It might be win £10,000 on Tropicana. It might be win £1 million with Carabao. Or it might be win a coffee machine. All of these are the sort of promotions that big brands do on a regular basis. But I'm going to talk a little bit about how you could use them for your own marketing, for your own businesses. But why me? Why am I the expert? Well, I've got nearly 30 years experience in the marketing industry. I joined Unilever as a graduate trainee, worked on the margarine business. Then I moved on to coffee and helped to launch Kenco before joining BT and the world of technology. So I ran their product marketing division, phones, not mobile phones. It was in the days when we had corded and cordless telephones. And the most exciting thing were fax machines. From there, I then moved on to Tesco, back into food, and I ran the cold distribution system. So anything that was cold, anything that was chilled, ready meals, milk, cheese, all of those, I ran the marketing, launching lots of new products and initiatives. And then I moved to Coca-Cola and took a European role as European Promotions Director, looking after our involvement in things like the World Cup and the Olympics. And my final major role was as European Marketing Director for a games company. I had 3 kids at the time. It seemed the right thing to do. And I joined Sega, who had the fantastic Dreamcast platform at that time. And I worked on that until Sony and their PlayStation slashed their price from £200 to £69, and my Japanese masters wouldn't allow us to do the same. We were killed in the marketplace. And 6 months later, Mr. Miyake comes over from Tokyo and says, "You are terminated." So I'm a bit stuck. What do I do? Well, I'd been looking around the marketplace and I'd seen there weren't many marketing directors aged 45 and above. What happens to them? They can't all become business coaches or advisors. And I had an idea that there was a gap in the market. Marketeers come up with great ideas and lawyers try to stop them. How can you fill that gap and make sure that both sides are happy? And that was the gap that then became a company that I started 15 years ago called PromoVeritas. It means truth in promotions. And essentially what we do is we do all the boring bits. All the creative is done over there, and we then make it all happen safely, legally, and in compliance with the laws. None of you probably realize that there are lots of laws associated with the running of promotions. And it's quite important that you do, otherwise you will fall foul of them. Some of them have statutory fines. Some of them, at the ultimate end, have prison sentences and penalties. But most of the time, it's embarrassment and a rap across the knuckles. So let's have a look at what prize promotions are. A campaign like this is a game of chance. There will be a code that you enter on a website, and at the end of the promotional period, randomly, we, as the independent party, making sure it's all fair, will pick X number of winners and then process those winners. The rule is that you have to have an independent party. It cannot be the office secretary or the intern who is picking your winners. Now, in my career, I've seen bad things happen. I've seen winners picked at random and then, oh no, they're from Wales. We're not having a Welsh winner. Or they live too far away from the airport. Or Morrison's they shop at. No, can we find a Tesco one, please? I want to curry favour with Tesco today. That is not allowed to happen. The other type of faux pas that you must avoid is when you run something that is called a competition, which is legally a game of skill or judgment. Entries must be judged. Entries must be reviewed and the best selected. So if it's a photo competition, all photos must be screened. All photos must be judged. And there must be at least one independent judge on that judging panel. Someone like me must be there. It can't just be left to you. If you're running a Willy Wonka type promotion, and here is literally one that we run, where this was for Cadbury, and if you found a purple gold wrapped bar, you won the prize. The law requires you to make sure that there is, again, an independent verification that all the prizes have been made available fairly and randomly. You can't just say there are 10 cars to be won and only bother to put out 5 or none. That would not be allowed. So again, an independent party would need to be there, and we will literally go to factories. We will inspect the production line. We're often the ones that actually insert the tickets into the line and make sure that they are all safe. So there's one out at the moment where our guys are out there distributing these, and this one could be worth up to £25,000. In terms of rewards, the other type of promotion is where you buy X, you get something free. That's a very popular promotion. I would recommend that one for a lot of small businesses because it's a lot easier to use. So one of the techniques that we would recommend is you have to pick the media. You've got to decide how you're going to communicate it. If you're someone like Tropicana, you can obviously do your packaging. Very few of you will have a situation where you've got packaging. So what we will need to talk about is online promotions. So that will be Instagram, that will be Facebook, that will be Twitter, that might be off your own website. Those are probably the media that are easiest for you. But you mustn't forget that you've also got your staff, your sales force. You've got email marketing to your customer base. So look at all the media that you've got available and think about what is the best way of communicating to your audience. Next, you need to think about what the technique is. We've got prize draws, we've got competitions, we've got rewards, we've got instant wins. What is going to resonate with your audience? Are you B2B or are you B2C? Some people get really worried about it, but the reality is, even if it's a B2B, your B2B customer is still a human being. They still have the same motivations as a general consumer, as a normal person. They still like to win free things. So don't be afraid to run what looks and feels like something for consumers with trade. It can still work well. Now, prize draws are very simple to operate. You need terms and conditions. You ask for people to enter via whatever mechanism, and then you randomly but securely have somebody to pick it. Not a problem. You can do that in 5 minutes. Competitions are more engaging. They're more excited. They're more exciting, and they involve more, but they are more complicated at the back end. So we've covered some of the basics. The last thing I want to mention is prizes. If you pick the right prize, you will increase the chance of your promotion being more successful. If you just go for the standard one, an iPhone, everyone's using iPhones. Think differently. Think about something that will linger longer in the winner's memory, about an experience that is unique to your business. And the other thing is, if you've got a budget of, say, £5,000, don't give away a single prize of £5,000. Give away a prize of 5 times £1,000. Why? Because if there's only one prize, do you honestly believe that you're the one that could win it? No. If there are 5 prizes, I've got more chance. Alternatively, you could actually give away 100 prizes of £50. And then you're guaranteed to get a lot more winner and a lot more talk factor. So you need to know and think about your marketplace. We call it the effort to reward ratio. How much effort does the consumer, the entrant, have to put in compared to what's the reward likely to be? Okay, now I'm pleased to say that we've got a few questions coming through. So from Instagram, we've had Aisha. She's asking, would you recommend different types of promotions depending on the goal? For example, gaining social media followers or generating more sales? Absolutely correct. You pick the technique and you pick the prize levels depending on your objectives. there are about a dozen different reasons why you might want to run a campaign. Sometimes it's because you want to build a database. That's your sole reason. You're not after sales. You want to create a database, so you need people to enter their name and their email. Other times you're after direct sales. You've got to buy this now in order to enter. But in the case that Aisha's raised, gaining social media followers by rewarding them by entering the prize draw is a fairly standard technique. And it will work. Whether you get involved followers or not is another matter. You've probably got what we call prize hunters, people who delve the web just looking for any opportunity that they can to win a prize. And you will never reconnect or hear from them again. But I certainly wouldn't use that same technique if you're seeking more direct sales. Normally, when you're doing social media follows, it's just post here or follow me and you'll be in the draw. That will have no impact on your bottom line. If you want to generate more sales, you need to be more strategic. I'm pleased to say Cassidy has tweeted, would you say it's expensive to run offline competitions? Cassidy's company has been running 2 social media competitions, but we've been thinking about if we could try something different. The issue is we don't know where to meet our customers in the offline world. Right, first of all, online is both quick, easy, and cheap. But it is also very hard to get noticed. If you put out a message on Facebook, it's likely to get swallowed up pretty instantly by the millions of other messages that are going out to the same followers that you're after. So your chances of being seen through natural selection are low unless you start to pay for posted posts. And that can cost you a fair amount of money. But it's definitely true that online is cheap. Going offline, and I'm assuming that they mean physical direct mail or doing something on packaging or on the television, that is undoubtedly going to be more complicated and more expensive. But it will have greater impact. And generally, it will have a greater success. Why? Because if you do it intrusively so that people actually see the banner and they see it and they feel it and they take it home, this will hang around in a household for maybe a week. Then that will be interesting. But do remember the prize. You can actually get a great deal of impact on consumer media if you think about the prize. This was a promotion we ran a few years ago for a yogurt drink, milk drink. And the prize is, if you can see, it says Win Warren. Win Warren? What the heck is Warren? Well, actually, Warren was this guy. Basically, you won a person for 24 hours and you could do what you wanted with him. No, of course, there were certain limits that we put into the terms and conditions. But really, it didn't matter what the prize was. The key thing was that we were able to do a great PR stunt about this, Win Warren. It catches the eye. People think about it rather than win an odd job man for a day, right? So how you position it can actually be a major contributor to your success. So Lyndon, on Facebook Messenger, we're going multimedia here. What are the implications if a competition or a campaign is run badly for a business? Great question. The honest answer is there aren't that many situations where brands running promotions go to jail. Let's be honest. There have been a few. There have been a few high-profile ones. Possibly one of the most high-profile, which involved a fine of over £10 million, was a few years ago with ITV. They were running their morning show prize promotions where you enter and you pay a premium rate and then you can win a £50,000 prize. That went a little bit wrong because although they were announcing phone up between 7 o'clock in the morning and 9 o'clock in the morning for your chance to win, and then immediately they put somebody on air that had been randomly picked, in reality, the picking of that winner was done a little bit earlier in order to make sure that they were decent for TV and that they weren't drunk or asleep. And therefore, anyone who was ringing after a certain time, like 8:45 in the morning, whilst they thought they had a chance to win, they didn't. And that all came out in the open through whistleblowers, and they were fined under Ofcom regulation, the television regulator, over £10 million for that and some other instances. So that's the extreme case. The majority of issues associated with promotions are dealt with by the Advertising Standards Authority, the ASA, and they are a self-regulatory body, and they do not have the power to fine you. But every week, on a Wednesday morning, it's quite an exciting part of my week, they will publish the list of their week's rulings, their adjudications, and you will see major companies that have had a negative ruling. And then the next day, the Daily Mail or the Daily Express or the Sun will pick it up and say that British Gas or BT or Yahoo or whoever it was had a negative ruling and that they wouldn't be allowed to run that particular campaign again. But the main damage, let's be honest, is reputational. Whether you're caught by the ASA or you're just pulled up by a consumer, it is the impact on your reputation for being known to be running a scheme that is dodgy. So it's best not to do that. Derek, good morning from Twitter. When you run a prize draw, do you have any do's and don'ts of what to do to make sure it all runs smoothly and so the consumer and the business get the most of it? Absolutely. Number one is think carefully about your prizes. Be impactful, be original. Number two is make sure you choose the right mechanic, one that is okay for your audience. Now, if they're an intellectual audience, you could consider having a challenge. You could consider having a serious quiz that's based around your products and your needs. But remember that requires engagement, and you may not get the numbers that you will get if you ran a simple prize draw. But prize draws is dead simple. It's just send your email in and that's it. There's no involvement with the brand. They haven't thought about your product and you're not getting anything from it other than an email. Then the second part is third part, you must have rules. There must be clear terms and conditions, and these need to be brought to the attention of the consumer at the time they participate. Don't bury them on a distant website. If you're using a tweet to communicate, you must say things like over 18s, UK residents closes on this date in the tweet itself, so that you're not wasting people's time if they're 16 or they're in France. The other tip is make sure that you run your winner selection fairly, independently. Don't be tempted to do it yourself. Get an independent third party and shout about it. If you're not doing anything wrong, tell people you're doing it right. It's a positive thing. Okay, Kristen on Facebook Messenger has just opened a chocolate shop a year ago. We have a limited budget and want to run a promotion to attract new customers on our social media channels. Do you have tips on how to do this with little or no budget? Well, we're behind a chocolate promotion at the moment running with Cadbury's, which is called Inventor, where basically the public are invited to submit their ideas for a new recipe for Cadbury Dairy Milk. So whether it's strawberry flavor or cheesecake or whatever. And then we will be judging with some chef experts, and then the best three will actually end up going into the shops. Now, that's obviously a big budget activity. Now, your one won't have quite that budget. But what you do have is you've got the experience of running a chocolate shop, and probably you're making chocolate. If you are making chocolate, then the best thing you can do is to run a competition where people spend a day in a chocolate factory in your back room, and they can help you to make the prize. It won't cost you any money, but boy, will that be exciting for people who love chocolate. The other thing is a year's supply of chocolate. So don't give out your prize all in one burst. Spread it. So you send them 4 or 5 bars a month and you keep their interest in your product going. And every month you can tweet about and that they're having these varieties and these flavors. But genuinely, you do not have to have a major, large prize to gain attention. You just have to run it originally and simply. Okay, Mona from Instagram wants to know where we're hiding our next prize. Well, I will tell you, actually, on Monday and Tuesday, I was literally doing this inside boxes of chocolate across the Midlands, is all I will say. And actually Yorkshire and Lancashire. And keep an eye out for me in Scotland next week. Lynn Mara from Facebook Live. Is it worth creating a page on Facebook to run a competition? Could you end up having your Facebook page taken down? Absolutely. Facebook do take pages down. We've got plenty of examples where brands have not, or companies have not really thought things through. And one of the common things is they're calling it a competition when in fact it's a game of luck. It's a prize draw. If it's a competition, it's a game of skill or judgment. If it's a selection just by random at the end, call it a price draw. It's not really illegal, but it's like calling a lion a tiger. It's just not polite. It's not the right thing to do. So the answer is Facebook do have some policing, and they certainly have the ability to take you down. The normal reasons why they take you down is if you break their own rules. So their rules do not allow you to give away petrol as a prize, live ammunition or guns. Yes, it's an American company, nor alcohol as a prize. So they've got certain limitations. They also require you to have an age limit and make sure that you have terms and conditions. So if you don't do any of those, then you're likely to be run down, taken down. But otherwise, no, the reality is the most likely person that's going to complain will not be Facebook. It will be one of your rivals if you're seen to be doing something naughty. Shavita, good morning from Facebook Messenger. How thorough would you say terms and conditions need to be? Is it a long process to write when you're thinking about a promotion? That's a really good question. And if you're a lawyer, the answer is going to be, oh yeah, they have to be really long and they have to be written in complicated language. The first part hereafter. No, they don't. They can be written in plain, simple English. So we do all the promotional work for ASOS, the clothing company, and we write in an ASOS style. Hey guys, we've got lots of prize, but you ought to know these things. We also do all the work for American Express, and there it's more formal. So we cut and adjust our style depending on the brand. But the principal answer is no, they do not have to be long. Once upon a time, Sony Film sent us a promotion with their terms for Karate Kid, the rollout of Karate Kid. And they were 7 pages long. And it was open to people over the age of 13. And you have to imagine that a 13-year-old is just not going to look at those terms and conditions so long. So we rewrote them, we condensed them, we simplified them. Thank you very much. So the answer is no, they do not have to be very long. They have to cover you, and they have to be very clear for the consumer about what to do. So we need age and any other restrictions. We need closing dates. We need full details of the prize. If you're giving away a television, don't say it's a Sony 50-inch TV. You've got to give the model number. Otherwise, the winner will want the gold-plated version. If it's a holiday, you will need slightly longer ones because there are risks involved. What happens if the travel company goes under? Who's paying the travel to the airport? Who's covering travel insurance? But it's not that complicated a process. We normally get them away in a side and a half of A4. Happy to talk to you further. Jeremy@promoveritas.com, and we'll advise in more detail. Rashmi, you're on Twitter. I'm running an international promotion. How can I be sure that the terms are applicable and lawful in other countries? Oh, that is a technique. That's a whole session in itself. The UK has the most liberal sales promotion laws in the whole of Europe, and pretty much by definition, most of the world. If you want to run a promotion like the ones we're talking about, you can just do it. You don't have to go to the authorities and ask their permission. You don't have to register. You don't have to pay. Neither you, the promoter, nor the winner has to pay taxes on prizes. It's deemed tax-free. However, that's not the same in other countries around the world. Last year, we operated in 68 countries, running campaigns from Vietnam to China to Chile to Australia. Did you know in Vietnam, if you're running a reward-based promotion, then the reward can only be 50% of the value of the promoted product, unless it's in the 30 days up to a lunar calendar month, in which case it can be 100% of the value. What's the lunar calendar month got to do with it? In Italy, you have to register 14 days in advance with the authorities, and any prizes that you advertise in Italy must be awarded to Italians. So they can't actually take part in multinational promotions. Oh, and there's a 40% tax you have to pay on the value. So the specific answer is it will depend which countries you want to go to, because we can mix and match and create promotions that work in most countries. The other option is you can run it in the cloud. You float it up in the sky. You're not directly targeting anybody in any country, and therefore technically anybody in the world could enter. You're not allowed to mention any countries in your terms and conditions, and therefore that is a possibility, but it does carry some slight risk. But we've run that for major brands like Microsoft and American Express without any problems. So happy to take that one offline if you wish to develop that further. Diana, you're on Facebook. Do you have any particular good promotions that you have helped to run that stick out in your mind as being really good? Oh, Diana, you must be related to me, because that's absolutely the question I was hoping somebody to ask. This is probably my favorite promotion. Hopefully you can see it. It's a pack of Dairyly, the cheese, and the campaign was called, "Does your pack moo? If so, you've won £10,000. This was all designed to improve the dairy credentials of the product. And we actually came up with the idea of a light activated sound chip that was inside a pack of Dairyly, such that when you open it, it mooed, and you then won £10,000. That indicated it was a winning pack. So let's see. That was going a bit flat, but it would then talk to you and tell you that you had won. And then underneath here was, "Congratulations, you're a winner. Phone our phone number using a unique code that was on the rear so that we knew you were genuine, and then you would win £10,000. So this is probably one of my most favorite campaigns because it was disruptive, it was original, and it was noisy. So thank you, Diana. Judy from Twitter. You love the idea of running a competition where you could potentially find a golden bottle cap. Yep. In one of our craft beer crates that we sell for a chance to get free beer for a month. How do you ensure that exactly the right number of winning packs have been produced? Okay, the way that we do that, and we've done it on bottle caps, we do it on cornflakes at the moment, all sorts of products, is we have to identify something that is unique about that bottle cap. Now, obviously on a bottle cap, you could have a different color, but that's a bit obvious when you're in the shops. So the normal technique is that there's something printed on the inside underneath the bottle cap. The problem there is that you've got food and hygiene issues. So that however you print it, it has to be food safe. But you might print the word winner and then a unique code number. Be very careful. Pepsi ran an under the code bottle cap promotion in the Philippines about 15 years ago. And they announced that if you find the code number 48, you're a winner of $1,000, whatever. Unfortunately, the printer of the bottle caps was also using codes to indicate his SKU number, his unique product number. And he also had the number 48. And thousands of Filipinos were discovering the number 48 inside their bottles. And they were then claiming their prize. Unfortunately, Pepsi didn't have the budget. It worked out as about $1 billion they were going to have to pay out. There were riots on the street. Pepsi depots were actually firebombed. Unfortunately, an employee lost their life in one of the riots, and it was a major disaster. So be very careful if you're attempting to print unique codes. But the answer is absolutely, there are techniques that we can do. It might not be under the bottle cap. We could, for example, print it on the label. So behind the label would be a unique code or a unique message that you then peel off. Okay, so Diana was the last question. I have to wrap up now. If there are any more questions, do please get in touch with QuickBooks support team on Facebook, or you can contact me on jeremy@promoveritas.com. Coming on Ask the Expert tomorrow is Ariona. She's the managing director for Major Accounts, and they're a nominated firm of independent accountants for the Greater London British Accountancy Awards. Ariona has been nominated also for 3 awards for the Women in Accounting and Women in Finance Awards 2020. So tune in tomorrow and get free advice from a cloud-based growth accountant that can really help you in these troubling times. And one final reminder, if you need any more advice, join the official Intuit QuickBooks SMB community group on Facebook. Accountants and business experts are on hand 24/7. So until then, stay safe and run it right.